All right, believe it or not, we're going down to Tampa. Why? Because I'm channeling warmth. No, because Stuart Vener is here with us right now to talk about what prospective homebuyers need to know in this market. Because look, Stuart, if you got cash, I got to believe... How are you?
I'm great, Tracy. Thank you.
I got to believe if you got cash, it's a buying opportunity.
Oh, it's a wonderful opportunity to buy everywhere in the country.
And so what do people need to know?
Well, you need to know that you have to buy what you can afford. I think the new mortgage guidelines are making that mandatory. But today, if you're a young couple, a newlywed, maybe you're not entitled to the 5-bedroom house with a swimming pool, the mansion. Maybe you should buy the 3-bedroom house without the pool and build up and save money and build a future. Do what your grandparents did.
Right, because otherwise you end up like the 2.9 U.S. properties that received foreclosing filings in 2010. I mean, you get in over your head. It is inevitable. Do you worry that we are potentially going to go back to that, create our own little housing bubble all over again? Because there's this push to get credit out there, get people buying homes.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I think that these liar loans, these signature loans, these people just wanting the entitlement mentality is gone, and you just can't do that again. The home is your investment. It's something you live in. It's your nest, and it's something you're buying for the long term, not to flip overnight.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It's the place where you teach your kid to play ball. It's not right. A stock. At the same time, though, a lot of people did it, and that's why we are where we are. So what can we do? What can we tell people going forward to prevent this from happening again?
Well, today, if you're a serious, sophisticated investor, then you can look at the property as an investment. But if you're buying property as an investment, always buy for the long term, and always see that you can collect enough rent to cover your basic expenses and leave a little reserve for repairs, for maintenance. If you're buying a home to live in, which I think most people are looking at that today, buy a little less than you can afford. You know, work your way up, build your way up, save money. They can still buy a home with a relatively small down payment. The opportunities are there.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is that when I was first in the housing market, which was back in like '97, I was told, push yourself because your income will grow, the house will continue to appreciate, you'll grow into the home. Don't buy basically too small, right? It's almost a different, it's a different mentality now. You shouldn't be thinking that way at all.
Well, that's exactly right. And then certain people may fall into that mold that you just mentioned. For example, when I was in the mortgage business, I did a loan for a young doctor just getting out of his residency. And you knew at that point his income was only going up. But if you're in a salaried position and your income will grow along with normal inflation, you can't look at that mentality. You have to buy what you can afford and even a little less than you can afford.
But even the doctor, I'd worry about him these days. We don't know what health care is going to look like as well, right?
That's exactly right. I'd be very worried more for the doctor, I think, than the school teacher.
Right, exactly. What about credit? I mean, are young couples, are people who are looking for homes for the first time, are they able to get loans?
Well, they have to have a certain amount of established credit. A credit card, a good payment history, a decent FICO score, and you can't get a FICO score if you don't have some credit. So it's a good idea to establish a little bit of credit even when you're in college, and pay it on time. Always pay your bills on time, and don't go rampant. I mean, the things that everyone wants in life, work for it and build for it. In time, they'll come.
So what are your projections for the housing market going forward? When will this thing turn around?
Well, I think we're looking at a little bit of a struggle still for the next year or two. It's going to turn around when the demand exceeds the supply. And right now we're not at that point. When jobs increase and when people feel confident enough to go out and buy. And then we're sitting with so many people that are underwater on their homes, and people that are not really underwater but have the mindset that it should be worth what it was worth a few years ago, even if they have equity. If they didn't sell it a few years ago, it's worth what it is today, and their equity is diminished, and they have to just realize that.
Right. So will prices continue to remain flat, or do you see them increasing anytime soon then?
I think they're going to increase like the loaf of bread, which is good. I mean, 1.5%, 2% a year, that's normal inflation. And interest rates are very low now. Hopefully they'll stay this way. And it's a wonderful, wonderful time to get into the housing market. And people that have an existing home, even if you don't have as much equity as you thought you had, sell it. Buy a new home, because you're going to get a lot better house than you could have got a few years ago.
Yeah, and it's a great point. Although selling one to buy a new one is that much more difficult. But if you have the cash, do it. I think the best takeaway here is don't overshoot, don't overreach. And someone on the chat even said, buy a home that just so you can keep your family safe and be done. And I think that's the way to go.
That's the best advice.
Yeah.
That's the best advice of all. You know, it's always nice to have the big mansion, but that's something you have to work for.
Sure is. Stuart Vener, National Real Estate and Mortgage Expert down in Tampa. Thanks for being with us, Stuart.
Thank you, Tracy. My pleasure.
We're going to take a break. When we get back, we have three the coolest things. First of all, Elizabeth McDonald is here. What could be better than that? CEO of the Harlem Globetrotters and CEO of Tiger Text. I cannot wait. So stick around. We'll be right back.